Well, hello guys, we are back with yet another plumbing catalog video. This is my newest edition, although I've had this for weeks by the time I've recorded this. But this is my brand new American Standard catalog from around 1992. Kind of rare to get a catalog from the 90s in general, because it doesn't seem like there was a lot of them sold. And in general, plumbing catalogs are becoming rarer and rarer, but I digress. Finding one that's new, it's not very common. But before we get into the video, I want to explain a few things. One is that this is mostly a residential themed catalog, so there'll barely be any commercial fixtures in this catalog, which does kind of suck because I want to know a little bit more about some of the information about some toilets, like let's say the 3.5 Madeira or Cadet, or some urinals like the Alberg or something, or like new additions. But unfortunately, there's barely any commercial stuff in here. This is mostly residential theme. Two, this catalog will be all over the place, but I'll still try to provide some timestamps. So usually it's like divided up by categories. There are some categories at the end, but most of it is divided by collections. And then eventually we'll get to the main categories. And the third one I want to address is that there will be some slightly inappropriate imagery. Like nothing bad, but it's like people and bathtubs. No nudity or anything, but kind of suggestive at the most. Hopefully YouTube does not take down this video, but we'll just have to see. But that's some of the things I want to address before we get started. But let's begin. So we'll start here. This is the front page. I'll slowly glide down so you can read it. But do pause because I'm not going to hang around here for a bit. Here's some more stuff. I'm going to kind of glance through this right quick, but pause if you want to read. And I wasn't joking about the bathtub stuff, so that's just your warning right there. But let's go ahead and move on. Here is the first section, the Warren Planter Collection in Sensorium. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that, but that's how I'm saying it. Here is the bathtub, well, one of the bathtubs, of course. Here's another one. I'm kind of worried about showing stuff like this. I don't know how YouTube will react to it. And we got some sink stuff. And this is a very odd looking sink. I'll come back up here so you can see this. Very weird. I do like this though, the custom covers. Here is a 3.5 planter toilet. I think this might be one of the ugliest toilets I've ever seen. And there's also a bidet. I cannot. I don't understand the appeal of this design, but it was made. Yikes. Here is the Heritage Suite. Just kind of a preview. Here is a sink. Toilet does actually look pretty nice, I must admit. Look a lot better than what that abomination on the previous page was. The day looks better too. And here's another sink. Kind of zoom out so you can see everything. Here we are with the Roma selection. Here's just a preview of things to come. Oh, just a sink. Here's some more sinks. Some of the stuff, especially this, looks straight out of the 70s or 60s. It looks weird. We actually got some toilets. This is a two-piece version. Very strange bowl design. And there's a one-piece version. Notice it has a button flush on the side instead of a handle, which is interesting. Here's something I find very fascinating. This toilet is the only toilet to have vent-away. Now, vent-away was something American Standard did in the 60s up until the 70s, and I thought it was discontinued after the 70s, but apparently it was carried on until the 90s, but with very few selections. This is apparently the only toilet with vent-away. Pretty interesting, honestly. And the bidet. Now we're finally on to the Galleria Collection. Here's a little preview of some very cursed designs. Some information about the Whirlpool, which is kind of, well, close enough. This is a 5. Not one, the other one's a 6, but they look about the same. Here's the sink. Probably the most normal looking thing out of this collection, and the countertop version up here. And someone has to say it. I had no idea Elon Musk made a toilet. I mean, like, the first thing I think of this, I just look at this, and this looks like a toilet you would find in, like, a Nintendo 64 video game. This was a little too ahead of its time, honestly. It looks so weird. And as you'll see there, the button's actually on the bottom left side. What a cursed toilet design, and the bidet ain't any better either. What a weird collection. Maybe besides the sinks that look mostly normal. Mostly. Now we're on to the Plaza Suite. I just have a question. Why would you want to work out in your bathroom? What a weird picture. The fixtures also look kind of weird. I tell you, those faucets look straight out of the 60s and 70s. Very weird. The button flusher. You also tell the bolts are covered by that little square. The designs are so weird. Even the sink looks weird. I don't know. This whole section's weird, especially this photo, which is kind of cursed. Now we're on to the Ellisse Collection, or at least I think that's how it's said. Available June 1992. This is the over Whirlpool. Some patterns. These look very interesting. This is pretty much a continuation with the Petite Ellisse Collection. There's a two-piece version of it. If I'm not mistaken, I think it looks very similar to the Bidet. Now we move on to the Lexington suite. These are kind of about the same. A preview of some of the stuff. There's a brown version, and there's also a elongated version as well. He looks so 70s. Now we go to the Lion Collection. Some tips, I guess. Some design choices which do look pretty interesting. Preview. This is a very interesting looking bathroom. Obviously you can tell the toilet is literally just a 6th gen cadet, but with lines. There's a line on the tank lid and a line on the bowl. That's pretty much the only changes made. A very strange collection. It does make for some pretty interesting designs, like shown here. Oh, away from the collections finally, and now we're going to go to the sinks. Lavatories. Here's a lot of information. Again, I'm just going to skim through it. If you want to read it, pause. Whenever. Kind of skim through some of this. These are trying to go for the classy designs. Very, very interesting. Kind of cool, even though it's kind of dated. It's interesting that they offered this in the 90s. Beautiful shapes of American standard. Yeah, we got some more sinks that look straight out of the 60s and 70s, especially the faucets. These two are like more commercial themed pretty much. Especially the top one. A preview photo showing off another laboratory. Kind of zoom out so you can see that. Okay, I really wasn't joking about some of these sinks looking at the 60s and 70s. I had definitely seen these designs before from the past. Even though this is meant for a 90s catalog. Definitely seen some of this in some way, shape, or form, even if it's not from American Standard. But some very familiar designs. These look more 60s than anything. that red color, honestly. It's an interesting blue. Now here's the section you guys want to see, the toilets. As you can kind of read there, it does mention that there is 1.6 gallon models in this catalog, as you can see. And there's the 6th gen, or the standard high models. Ironically, the one I have is also from 1992, which is when this catalog was made. Pretty fitting. There's the comfort height version that carries on the 4th gen designs, but with a 3.5 gallon tank. Strangely, they just used the line design for the round bowl 6th gen, which is weird, even though it obviously looks more like this, but just round. Here's a bunch of information. I'm just going to slowly gaze through it. Just pause whenever you want to read. Still find it weird how they still use ventilators just for one toilet. I thought they discontinued that in the 70s, but this proves that wrong. Environmentally designed low flush toilets. How ironic. As you'll see, we finally get our 1st gen pressure assisted cadets. aka what I like to call the tank Bideras. What's interesting is that these are only offered with the button flush till around like the mid-90s or so, when they finally introduced a handled option. This is because of the flush mates at the time. This is very interesting. This is also a pressure assist. It's called Fontaline. I don't think anyone will find this toilet, but I'd be shocked if someone does. I'm quite curious if it carries over the Madeira design of the 1.6 era over to this ball, and it's just a one-piece Madeira on tank. Be kind of weird. Here's some information. And we got the Cadet 2, which is a confirmed name. What's interesting is, I don't know if this was released in 1992 or so, because I think there was another version that I think OCC had that was completely different. Like, the ball looks almost the same, the opening looks the same, and I think the trapway is almost the same, but it has a swirly flush. Not sure if that was like an earlier prototype and then this was the official version or not, but it's very interesting. Eventually they would also introduce a comfort height version, probably like mid-90s. So I'm guessing the earlier version of the Plebe was a front flush, as you see the trapways there, so they're probably similar to the Cadet 2 in a way. It just looks a lot more cheaper. Wonder when they'll occasionally add a Hydra design, probably like mid-90s or so. Interesting. Very interesting selection, even if some of these toilets aren't the greatest. I do have a soft spot for these, though. I don't know about this one, though. So we'll kind of glaze over this selection. I mean, we've already seen these already, so it'll be kind of time wasting to do so when it's pretty much just the reused information. We'll look at this, though, for a few seconds, but this is just the bidet selection. I don't think we've seen this one yet, though. Or maybe we have. I don't know. Here is the Whirlpool and bathing pools. Kind of glaze over this selection. We have a lot more suggestive imagery than we had previously. If you think it was bad earlier, you have seen nothing yet. And I'm not going to show it because I feel like YouTube will take this video down if I do. Very suggestive stuff. Designed for comfort. We're not looking at that image, by the way. That's probably the most inappropriate one we've got yet. Some information, I guess, like a guide to a Whirlpool tub. Now we got a collection of Whirlpools known as the Symphony Collection. That looks like a hot tub more than anything, honestly. Designer's choice. Man, I hate these images so much. There's that. Some more stuff. Information there. Try to zoom out so you can see all that. You can pause if you want to read. Here's a guide on bathroom layout. Try to zoom out so you can get all that in. Read if you want to. Just pause. I think we looked at an image like that already. Should just kind of gaze through some of these if we haven't seen. That one's new though. It's just information about safety with these Whirlpool tubs. Some stuff about jets and grab bars. Just options. Now finally at the last section, the colors. Now, I'm just going to glaze for this right quick, so possibly want to look at something that quick. I would like to point out that the last 4 colors, red, blue, yellow, and green, are only offered on a few sinks. Nothing else. Toilets can't come with it, and it doesn't look like many tubs, are, if any, are offered with it. Just a few sinks. That's it. Here's some colors right here. Just kind of glaze for this. And that will conclude a catalog. I hope you guys learned something out of this, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely a lot longer than I expected for a simple presidential catalog, but I'm glad I got a lot of information out of this, and I hope you did too. Anyways, I will see you in the next video.